Now, this is quite interesting. In fact, very interesting. British middleweight boxer Chris Eubank Jr. has been speaking today at the Riyadh season press conference. That's before the Beterbiev fight. The former two-time IBF World Super Middleweight Champion explained the reasoning behind his deal with Boxer.
Because every other promoter out here is a scumbag. Frank Warren behind me, been lying and cheating his way through boxing for the last couple decades. Kalle Sauerland.
Speak up, I can't hear you.
Kalle Sauerland had had me locked up in a terrible contract for the last few years. Scumbag. Eddie Hearn, Frank Smith, they did everything they could to try and make this fight against Conor Benn still go ahead.
Scumbag.
Still go ahead. I would say the only promoter that I know for sure isn't a scumbag is His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh. You know, this is a man who isn't trying to take money from fighters.
That video has exploded across social media over the last hour or so. So join us for more on this is somebody who was right next to Chris Eubank at that press conference. Founder of Queensberry Promotions, Frank Warren. Hello, Frank.
I weren't next to him. I was behind him. And the speakers were facing outwards, so we couldn't quite hear all what was being said. And the bottom line of it is very simple. He was sued by me for a legal breach of a contract, and I was successful in suing him, and he paid substantial damages. Now, you know, what he can't accept is what's legal and what's not. And as regarding what he's just said, just so you know, I'm going to keep it short and sweet, he's going to get sued again for the comments that he's made publicly.
Frank, let me ask you, those comments were, he said you've been lying and cheating your way through boxing.
Are you not listening to what I just said? And if you carry on, you'll get it as well, because you're publishing it by saying that. So I'm just telling you straight how it is. He will be sued, and he will have a problem over that. And anybody else who says it, they can get in that queue with it.
Okay, I'm not saying it, Frank. I'm just asking you.
You were saying it. I heard you.
Well, yeah, but it wasn't me that said it.
Yeah, but you're repeating it.
Yeah, but you've come on for your right to reply, right?
You just asked me to come on.
Of course we have, yeah, for your right to reply.
And I have just given you the response.
Okay, but you must understand that when you come on national radio on the back of someone accusing you of that, I'm going to ask questions on it.
And I've given you an answer.
Right, so I assume that we're going to carry on talking about it.
So now you want to elaborate on it. I've given you an answer. And the answer is that will be dealt with, and it will be dealt with legally. Okay. And the outcome of it, I'm very, very, very sure what the outcome of it be. And anybody who repeats it, as I said, they'll face the same consequences, like he did last time. And you're talking to a guy, by the way, who is, he's accused everybody on there of the same thing.
Okay. I was going to ask you the question. I know you explained that you'd sued him over a problem with a contract. So I was going to ask the question, that side, he's accused you of what he's accused you of over the last 2 decades. So I was going to ask,
I've heard what you just said.
Why do you think he's said it's happened over 20 years was going to be my question.
I've got no idea. I can't read into an idiot's mind.
So I'm guessing, Frank, your relationship with Chris Eubank Jr. has been stale for a while.
He's fought on my shows. He's fought on Billy Joe Saunders and a couple other fighters. Every fight that he had, he was paid on time. He received his money. He lost against Billy Joe Saunders, and that is the bottom line of it. So he needs to back up now what he says. Otherwise, he's got a big problem. If he can back it up, then I've got a problem. But I know I haven't got a problem. He'll be hearing from me. Don't worry about it. He knows. He doesn't know because sometimes he's just, well, he is what he is, isn't he? That, he's been a fraud as a fighter all the way through.
Has he always been difficult, do you think, Frank?
Better ask all the promoters he spoke about.
Okay. Why do you think he's attacked every promoter? It's a dangerous game to play, right?
I think one of the things is because I think it was a setup by the people who were in, but we'll find out. But that question was he was definitely asked to ask the question. I have no idea. And you know what? That's not what this is about. This is about a great fight. For me, he's fighting somebody on the card. He's fighting because he doesn't want to fight 2 guys that I've got, that I'm involved with. And those 2 fighters in Denzel Bentley and in Hamza Shiraz, who I believe would have to beat him all day long. If he really feels he wants to hurt a promoter or hurt me, then he'd fight one of those fighters. But he has not got the balls to do it. And in the meantime, he said what he said, and I will deal with it.
Would you ever work with him in any capacity if it meant him fighting one of your fighters?
I'd do it in a heartbeat, because I know my guys will beat him because he's a phony.
Right.
He's 35 years of age.
Yeah.
The next generation, if he's the next generation, there's chances for me at my age.
Frank, let me ask you. We've only seen the clip of it on social media. It's obviously gone viral. I've no idea as to where that was in the press conference. Was it the beginning, the middle, of the end? And
I can't remember. It would have been the beginning because it was as they're standing as they were on the card. He's not the main event.
Okay. I was just going to ask how the reaction of that, how that was judged afterwards. Did it sort of kill the moment?
Well, no, I don't think so, because it's a great card. All he's done, though, is just what he's done isn't good. Look, at the end of the day, he said it. It can't be changed what's been said. He said what he said, and he's got to face the consequences or prove what he said. It's really simple. You know, that's the bottom line of it. If you say something, you've got to be able to stand it up. And if it's libelous, you've got to stand it up. Now, if he can stand up what he's saying, brilliant. Then that's what it is. But I know he can't, because I know what he said is just ridiculous. I mean, it's not just me. He's done it to everybody on there.
Frank, you said something about, I think in the press conference, about Hamza Shiraz and that he won't fight him. Do you think he's ducking him? Is that the case?
Well, if he won't fight him, that's why. Or you price yourself out. He asked for $5 million to fight him for a non-title fight.
And how much were you prepared to pay?
How much? Not $5 million. There's two ways to not have a fight. One is to say, I don't want it. The other one is to ask for a ridiculous sum of money that doesn't make it viable in any situation.
Okay. Just before I let you go, other promoters were mentioned by him. Have you spoke to any of those promoters? Have you had a word with Eddie Hearn?
I'm sure they'll all do what they've got to do themselves. One of them's his brother-in-law. Frank Smith is his brother-in-law.
Wow. Very bizarre, wasn't it? Very bizarre outburst, Frank, wasn't it?
Very bizarre. Well, let's get it right. He's a very bizarre person.
Okay. Frank, listen, thank you for coming on. Just for legal reasons, it wasn't me that said it. I was just reiterating it. Okay?
I know, I understand that, but, I'm saying how it is, and that's how it is.
Well, Frank, listen, that's why we got you on. We've got a great relationship here with you at talkSPORT, and we wanted you...
Absolutely. Well, we've got a great relationship. I don't want to talk about talkSPORT. I've got to get stuck into one of your presenters later on today.
No, who's that?
Boy Wonder.
Don't say Adam Cattrall again.
Yeah, by the way, I've got to tell you something. I was listening. No, not Adam Cattrall. No, not. I was listening. I've seen the stuff that Simon Jordan put out about Saturday, and about Eddie Hearn and myself, and about how we sold our souls or whatever it is, and this thing for the Riyadh season and whatever. And he champions all the time Ben Shalom, and I know that Simon has been out trying to raise money for Ben Shalom. And Ben Shalom spoke very highly, because in this set-up question that I told you as it was, so I understand how it was put together. He said he spoke very highly of His Excellency, quite rightly, and about being proud to be involved in the season and how great it is. I wonder, question to Simon, will he still continue to go on a fundraising exercise for Ben, having had the guy that he's championing saying what he said about Saudi?
What do you think his answer will be?
I don't know. You better ask him. I mean, he's the guy who said a lot of things about it. I mean, couldn't understand why a national anthem was played, the Saudi national anthem was played before the British. I mean, Darren, you're an ex-footballer. You know how it works. You go onto the football pitch, you're the home team in an international, or if you go to a boxing event, it's always the host nation that's national anthem goes last. That's how it's always been. Do you think if the host nation, whoever put the event on, would have been American and they would have played the American national anthem before, anyone would have mentioned it? They don't play. I think it's people looking for what was probably one of the most exciting nights in British boxing for a long, long time. Fabulous card, just trying to find reasons to say what they're saying. And as regarding national, the point I was making, if the fight had been on the continent, for example, the referee they'd have played his country's national anthem. If it had been a Don King card, irrespective of what the nationalities of the fighters were, he'd have played the American national anthem. We played the Saudi national anthem for the simple reason that it was a Riyadh season special event that we managed to get with their cooperation to bring over here and put an excellent night on. And the reason the anthem was played is the clues in the title. It was a Riyadh season event. Otherwise, that show would have gone on in Riyadh, and they'd have played the national anthem there, and they'd have played the British national anthem, and they'd played the Saudi last. It's just a pathetic, ridiculous thing to pick up on, and I really don't get it, especially when, as I've just said, in other sports, that's how it works. And David Bernstein, by the way, I see there's some comments from him. He was my former accountant, David, and I've got a lot of respect for him, but he spoke to questions that were put to him, and not as the FA or a spokesman for the FA.
Okay, well, listen, we will play that obviously to Simon. I'm sure on his show tomorrow morning with Jim White from 10, he will answer it.
Yeah, well, let him answer. He's got a good platform to answer it. I just want to know what he feels about Ben Shalom. He accused me of bullying, and I've only ever spoken to him, I think, twice in my life.
Okay, well, he will answer tomorrow morning. Before I let you go, just one last question. We were talking about the fight yesterday. We were both curious as to why the champion, Daniel Dubois, came out first and not second. Why was that?
The reason was when the fight was made, it was before the Hrgovic fight, and at that stage, that fight wasn't even going to be for the interim title. And AJ obviously was the bigger attraction out of those two guys. There's no doubt about it. And the winner of that, whoever won it, was going to walk second. So that was agreed.
Once he became world champion, could you not have swapped it so he came out second?
No, it was a contract. If I was AJ, it was a signed contract. Okay. What am I going to do? Breach the contract and then get sued? That's what happened with Chris Eubank Jr.
And we're back to him again now. Don't make me say what he said, Frank. I don't want to be sued.
That's what contracts are there for.
I know.
That's what two parties sign a contract for.
Frank, what are you doing tomorrow morning at 10:30?
What am I doing at 10:30 tomorrow?
Do you want to go on with Simon?
Do I want to go on with Simon? I don't want. Can't be able to get to the studio, but I've got no problem.
On the phone. They phone you up tomorrow
at
10:30? Okay.
You can tell them I'll go on there, and on this condition that he actually lets people answer questions rather than talk over them, because they are guests.
Okay, forget that then. I'll see you on H&J. No, I'm joking.
Can you imagine if Saudi Arabia had gone to Crystal Palace, say, right, we want you to put our name on your shirts, and will you change the dye you're using to green on your hair? Would he have done it?
Don't get me started about his hair. I'll be sued by him. Frank, listen, I appreciate you coming on. Thanks for your right to reply. Tomorrow morning, 10:30. All right?
God bless. Thanks, fellas.
Thanks, Frank.
Cheers, Frank.
There you go, Frank Warren. Back on talkSPORT tomorrow morning at 10:30.
It's ready to go, isn't he?
More
ready to swing for the fences.
More for me, but I need to speak to my lawyer. I'm just going to have a quick break.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app, and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.